Therefore said he unto them, Luke 10:2, the harvest truly is great. Do you believe that? But the laborers are few. There are so few. It sounds like America in 2025. Hey, there's hard work. There's jobs. Where are the workers? Well, they're sitting down. They're all sitting on workers' comp or whatever. All sitting there taking their COVID checks or whatever. I don't think that's a thing anymore. Are these people still getting handouts and stuff? Yeah. Once every 3 months. Confession is later, okay? And that's in the church over there. Okay, I'm just kidding, brother. The harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few. Where are the workers? Why is it that most churches, most soul winning, or most Baptist churches that are King James fundamental, they have the right gospel, why are most of them, you can't find a soul winner in the whole place? And a lot of times, there's not even the pastor that's doing it. He doesn't have any tracts in his pocket. He's out in town all week and doesn't talk to anybody about the Lord. Now, what is wrong with that? The Lord's looking down. I'm praying for laborers. He said, this is what you should pray. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he would send forth laborers unto his harvest. Now that's a good prayer. So maybe what we got to do is say, Lord, send me. What more can I do? You start praying for laborers like the Lord said. And by the way, soul winning requires physical energy. Okay, it does. It's not to the hot part of the year, but it was kind of warm. That sun was beating on us today. God describes the Christian, the soul winner, as the feet of the gospel. Romans 10:15, how shall they preach except they be sent? Well, that's what the local church does, is send people out every week. And as it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things. It takes physical stamina because you got to be on your feet. You got to be going. You got to be moving. You got to go after those souls. I'm glad we crossed that street and led that whole family to the Lord. We were chasing. We were going after it. And then number two, the next part, it takes mental readiness. We have to be in the game. You know what you see in a sports thing? You don't see in professional level sports them sitting on the sideline when the plays are being done. What's on Facebook? You know what they're doing? They're sitting on it ready for the coach. You're in. Go. You got it. Yes, sir. They're running. They're ready to give their orders. They're ready to go. They're sitting on ready. They're not sitting there scrolling on their phone or playing a game or something like that. When we go out there, you got to be ready to go. Have it in your head what you're going to say, how you're going to approach people. You'll be thinking I'm going to smile. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to go up to them, and this is how I'm going to introduce myself. All of that. You need to be ready to preach the gospel. You need to be studied up with your gospel and ready to explain salvation clearly. In 1 Peter 3:15 it says, but sanctify the Lord God in your hearts and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you the reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear. But, he said, be ready to always give an answer to every man that asketh you. Be ready. It's labor. It's mental exercise to sit there and preach to people the gospel. It is, and then they're listening to them and talking to them and getting what their feedback and what they're believing and so forth. It's labor. It's not leisure. Now, we've figured out a way to speed up the process of finding the people who want to hear it. But that means we even have to be more sharp, right? Because we're going to be out there physically, we need to be physically ready to be able to stand there and preach to people over and over again. Because you get physically tired and mentally tired. We got to be in shape. We got to have our minds ready and mentally rested. Ecclesiastes 10:10 says, if the iron be blunt and he do not whet the edge, then he must be put to more strength. But wisdom is profitable to direct. Lazy soul winners don't sharpen their sword. They just kind of, I've seen it before. They just kind of ease into it, give a few verses, and that's it. What I'm trying to emphasize is that's not it. You got to be sharp. Because when you go into battle with these, this is the devil versus God. Like, there are literally demons and angels and God overlooking this situation for a soul to be saved. I'm not kidding about that. I believe it with all my heart. There's spiritual battles, there's spiritual things that are taking place in the spiritual realm around them